autism moms have the stress levels of combat soldiers.
Combat soldier here. Served 13 years in the Army as an infantryman. Served 3 tours overseas. I went to Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, and Djibouti. Let's talk about that. Do autism parents carry the same stress load as combat soldiers? I think the best way to do this would be to find the common grounds in which both the combat soldier and autism parents lie. And I would say the psychological stress, physical strain, the environmental stress, the social and cultural stress, and probably the post-trauma or long-term stress that comes with it. Now, of course, I can go way deeper in each of these subjects, but the key thing is simple. Let's look at the psychological stress involved in being a combat soldier and an autism parent. The psychological stress that a combat soldier faces is the imminent fear of being in danger, being attacked, or any sort of threat to your life, while an autism parent is bringing your child into a new circumstance or a new environment, not knowing how they're going to react. Will they melt down? Will they accept the environment? Or what will happen? We just don't know. Combat soldiers often carry survivor's guilt, where that's not really the case in autistic parents. However, this can carry over into wondering what kind of life could your child have had they not have the autism, or could you have done something different to make sure your child didn't come out with autism, or what if you had discovered your autistic children's symptoms sooner? Being a neurotypical parent and having a child with autism is very akin to survivor's guilt in that case. Often combat soldiers have to detach themselves to help deal with the psychological trauma that they've endured. While that is mostly post-service, autism parents are dealing with this 24/7, leading to burnout, leading to fatigue, leading to them kind of becoming numb themselves. So that's how psychologically it is akin to being a combat soldier. Now, the physical strains. If you already haven't done so, please shoot me a follow because I want to be a part of an awesome community where I can become a better parent myself to my autistic daughter. One of the most common physical strains that a combat soldier deals with is sleep deprivation. And that's all too familiar to anybody who is a parent of an autistic children. Either they don't sleep, or they wake really early in the morning, or they stay up super late at night. There's some sort of sleep deprivation going on. Combat soldiers, typically infantrymen, tend to induce a lot of wear and tear in their body physically, wearing their actual body down over time. This is akin to many autism parents, especially on children who have high levels of autism where they need full-time support. You're constantly using your body to support them, lift them, and do everything for them. Or even those children who have aggression, basically beating your body up. And of course, depending on the situation, a lot of combat soldiers are malnourished. And there are instances where we have a hard time getting food. I've been there. As an autism parent, how many times have you skipped a meal? How many times have you neglected your own health? And how many times have you put your child in front of yourself so they get taken care of first? And at the end of the day, there's nothing left for you. Now for the environmental stress factors. A combat soldier needs to be ready and predict the unpredictable on any occasion, including being in a brand new environment. Whereas an autism parent, you need to carry that load for your children because they cannot predict that, and they most likely cannot cope with a sudden change of their environment. Thus, you must be hyper aware of what may be trigger inducing and find solutions. Then you have the rules of each environment, and where combat soldiers typically have a very strict rule set that they have to abide by, where autism parents have bureaucracy. So how do you navigate the healthcare system, the school system, getting benefits for your kid? It's a lot of hurdles to jump through. And then we have the social and the cultural pressures that we have to deal with. As a combat soldier, I feel the need to put on a mask, a tough mask. I have to be tough. It's pretty much ingrained into an infantryman's head that any help is a weakness, so it's really hard to break that barrier and actually seek for help that's needed. Whereas an autism parent, you're constantly being judged by the public, forcing you to become tough and kind of masking your own struggles, because you can handle this, right? You don't need help, but you kind of do. As a combat soldier, I rely on my unit, my squad, my team, those people that I built that camaraderie with to survive. Parents of autistic children, they need that same support, whether it's from their parents, from their friends and family, or some other outside source that can help them. And as a combat soldier, I need to not only exude that toughness that I spoke about, but I need to walk and talk it, and every action that I take needs to reflect that toughness. And that puts a lot of strain on the body because as an autism parent, you need to do the same thing. You need to be going to your therapies multiple times a week. You gotta be keeping on top of your child's education. You need to make sure that your child isn't getting too much screen time. You gotta make sure your child is eating. So much load on your shoulders that you don't have time to be weak. You have to be tough. And lastly, of course, that we have the post-trauma and the long-term effects. I've been out of the Army for about 6 years now, and to this day I'm still having a hard time trying to adapt into this life. I don't have the same support system that I had when I was in. Whereas autism parents, they typically have a hard time adapting to any part of life, keeping a solid friendship, keeping a job, keeping a hobby or a routine going outside of taking care of their autistic children. Many combat soldiers, including myself, experience and live with PTSD every single day. Some of the symptoms could be outbursts, hypervigilance, flashbacks, where an autism parent may also feel those hypervigilance, making sure the child is safe at all times. Maybe flashbacks of some traumatic event that happened on their watch with their children. Maybe an outburst because you just don't have control and you just kind of hit the tip top of the last nerve that you had. And then, of course, when all that's said and done, we kind of lose, as combat soldiers, our sense of purpose in life. We just fulfilled one of the greatest missions that we could ever do, and now we're done, and now what? And it scares me every single day to know that there will be a time where I will not be around to take care of her. And we as autism parents need to plan for that. Like, what's going to happen after we're no longer able to take care of our children? What happens to them? It's an absolutely cruel world. And you're not going to be there to protect them from it. So you're just filled with uncertainty. So do autism parents carry the same stress levels as combat soldiers? I would say absolutely.